there is a difficult balance to strike when you're first starting out, or even if you're a couple years in. The balance between studying and actually practicing and doing. It's very difficult to kind of balance that sometimes. And even though studying can feel like doing, actually practicing and doing the meditations or doing the workings, the rituals, whatever it is that you're taking part in, there's a difficult balance that you got to figure out kind of early on as to how you're going to balance these things out and
Yeah.
actually apply your knowledge instead of just soaking it in.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely you have to apply it. And eventually though, it just becomes a way of life. It's just a part of your existence. It's kind of hard to explain, but it just kind of happens. A transformation happens in you.
Yeah, transformation, it falls into how you view the world. It's
Yeah.
we mentioned aesthetic a second ago. Aesthetic is really important, and like how you perceive the world and the aesthetics that appeal to you, and finding the beauty within even the ones that you don't really appreciate. It's sort of just the way your mind transforms slowly as it's ascending through divinity. It's sort of like that whole concept, like raising your vibrations, or samsara, ridding yourself of negative, like the ego and all these other things. It all kind of comes together, and you start to see yourself, view the world in a different way. That's really how I've, at least now, kind of characterized that transformation that you seem to sort of start experiencing the further you go down.
And okay, one major thing you do not do on the path, let's say on the left-hand path, is you don't perceive yourself as a victim. You don't look for a safe space. There's no safe spaces on the left-hand path, if you will. Um, if stuff happens to you, you learn from that. You take joy in the laughter and the love and the laughter, and you learn from the pain and sorrow, if that makes any sense. You like I mentioned earlier, you go so far into the darkness, hopefully you come out into the light. It's very similar to Nietzsche's amor fati, love of fate, just a love of existence. Or it's also in common with the Aghori, if you're familiar with them, left-hand path, Hindu left-hand path, Shaivis practitioners, the Aghori sadhu, who do some really, to be blunt, fucked up shit, which seems really fucked up. But what Aghori means, or Agora, their practice means, okay, Agora means horrible. You put an A in front of it, it means not horrible. Where they're trying to reach this form of enlightenment, if you will, is by doing, they don't harm others, but they'll do they'll do stuff like meditate amongst the funeral pyres. They will indulge in human flesh, and what their goal is once they're indifferent toward it, when it no longer has an effect on them, then they know they've reached that illumination, if you will. They want to find all that is beautiful within Brahman. So if everything is of Brahman, there's no difference between the filth and the beauty. And I find that highly intriguing. Now, I have no plans on eating a corpse, but I think there's some lessons there. And eventually, what happens is they enter this mental state, it's been described, that's very similar to what some people achieve only when they're in their last few days of existence. That's that peace that comes to you when you've accepted your demise, if you will, and you've accepted reality for what it is. And that's their goal.
Well, it almost sounds like a form of trauma therapy when you put it that way. You're constantly exposing yourself to these things that are perceived as being horrible, and of course, eating a corpse. It's not only illegal, that'll cause you some problems, but just the actual
Not easy to get either.
yeah,
So
not exactly something you want to brag about, but
no.
it's something that when you desensitize, it's a process of desensitization. Like you expose yourself repeatedly, and again, it's like trauma therapy. If you are afraid of clowns, You go
Yeah,
face to face with a clown, you get closer and closer and closer and closer until it becomes a normality for you.
right.
It's something that you are no longer afraid of. It's something that you take away the
It's
spookiness
power.
about it. It's power,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
power over them.
Exactly. And that is a very spiritual principle. Like most principles can be boiled down into a spiritual aspect of some kind, but that is definitely one that I think we can learn from without, breaking the law
Yeah,
or hurting anybody.
yeah, exactly. They don't, well, yeah, they don't kill people for the corpses, but they have been known to, like, yeah, I don't know, like the Ganges River. They might a funeral procession or whatever might, let a body go down the river or whatever, and they'll
Yeah.
scoop up that body after it's gone down a ways, and I don't know, chow down on it. Or there's been necrophilia at times, and they've also done outrageous stuff like drink urine or eat feces. And yeah, none of that, like I said, I plan on doing. But I mean, there is a lesson in there somewhere, if you will.
You won't openly advocate anyway, just to be
No,
safe.
no, no. But you got to look at, I mean, India is a pretty extreme society.
Yeah, their
So
values are entirely different.
yeah, so their form of the left-hand path is going to be a little more extreme than our, Western,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
I think you mentioned a good point a minute ago about the victim mentality,
Yeah,
and that's an important thing to take note of, especially when it's sort of as cliche as it can sound, sort of separating the sheep from the wolves.
yeah,
It's a decent way. Like, you can't go throughout life, you especially can't be beating your chest at the start or finish line or anywhere in between, while constantly bitching and moaning about how feeling sorry for yourself about how much of
yeah,
a victim you are. You can't go about life living that way, especially not when you're taking on the mantle of strength and you're taking the spiritual responsibility onto yourself to carve out your own path, so to speak. It's really important to find a way to rid yourself of that. And another one of the reasons that you may be feeling like a victim all the time is shame, is guilt. A lot of those things that get built up within you from your upbringing or from any number of
yeah.
circumstances, it's important to weed through those and actually root them out.
Yeah, Nietzsche said guilt is herd mentality for the individual. So yeah, yeah, those things you have to, if you're going to be on the path, you got to let this stuff go, because it's about you as an individual striving, to reach the higher self, whatever that is. It's no one's going to hold your hand. Now, we of course have the organization, and we're there not to hold your hand, not to guide you, but to, like, present tools. Go, like, here you go, you got a little something to help you out.